All right, y'all, I have made it through now the first month of the program, and if having notes for the video so that I don't completely fall off track isn't a great representation of where I'm at, I don't know what is. I will try to make this not loud because I know the mic picks up everything, but your girl is a little scattered, okay? Not because I'm not organized right now, but just literally there are so many things on my plate that I feel like if I don't have a little bit of direction right now, we're just gonna get a little chit chat of a lot of things. So, and I did want to actually share something that I thought was pretty cool that I learned that I wanted to really add in there and make sure, okay, I want to say this properly. So 4 weeks in, first month is done, and it has been amazing. And just kind of a general recap, I know I've put out 2 videos now. If you have not checked those out, this video probably won't make a ton of sense. So definitely go check out the other 2 videos about why I'm going back to grad school and just really the format of these types of videos moving forward. But a month in, and one of the best things I would say is that I've already been able to integrate some of what I'm learning in class into different things. So for example, right now I'm in the midst of also relaunching my coaching mentorship, which is incredible and a little overwhelming at the same time. It's not even really that I'm overwhelmed with the mentorship per se, it's more of just the consistently showing up on social media to try and market and promote this, which if you don't know, now you're gonna know, is not really my strong suit. Working on it, but just a very ambitious undertaking at this point. But I have been able to integrate some of the things already into the lectures, which I'm really excited about. And I know that as the semester goes on, I'll be able to share even more. I'm also giving a presentation at an event in a few weeks, and I'll be able to add in some of the things I've learned there too. So just really, like, that's probably the biggest benefit. And then also some of the people that I've met in the program are fantastic, and it's really great because we do have a small cohort, and there are some classes that we've overlapped with, like some of the other degrees that are like within the program, but it's mostly the people who are in our class. So having friends in there and just people that like understand, it's so great. I'm talking to my one friend, and we pretty much now talk almost every day, just kind of about like different assignments and different things that are going on. And I was explaining to her, I was like, I feel like right now I'm in that situation where this is so consuming, and it's also new, but it's just very consuming. So it feels like it's like one of the only things that I want to talk about. And it's like, you know, when someone just starts like dating someone new and like they only start talking about that person, or they start doing anything new and they're only talking about that, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can literally feel myself being that person where I'm like, oh, so this thing today, and I want to, and I'm like, not that nobody cares, because I know that people in my life do care, but I'm also like, hey, they probably don't care as much as you do. Just take a step back. So it's nice to have other people who I am friends with in the program so that, you know, we can talk about those things, because again, people in my life, like poor Chris, like wants to hear about stuff, but not all the details, you know. And actually that was one of the things. So we had our first trip together, and I was definitely a little nervous, not for any other reason other than like my own self-imposed stressors of just being like, oh my gosh, I have so much going on and my time is going to be much more limited. Whereas normally when we do our trips, it's either one, we get to spend more time together, so it's kind of like spread out, or I've been lucky enough that I have generally, not always, but generally been able to adjust my schedule to where it's like, okay, hey, I'm maybe not taking extra calls on the days that we're together, or I'm adjusting my work schedule a little bit more. Now it's kind of like there really is no option, you know, and it's like I'm just in a very, very busy season, and he has been so fantastic and understanding, as I knew he would be because he's the best. But it's just one of those things where I was feeling the guilt and like creating all of this stress for no reason, like, but it just feels a lot different. And just not even just with him, but just all of my relationships right now. With all of my relationships right now, I just feel like I'm barely like getting all of my stuff done, and I'm doing everything, and I'm trying to do it all really well, but there is this little bit of guilt that I'm dealing with of like, I'm not able to like check in on everyone like I normally would, or go out of my way, or just kind of like drop things and like go travel and go do stuff, because like literally, I mean, even being like in the car for a few hours, like that sounds really silly that would be a big deal at this point, but it's like, if I have to go somewhere that's, you know, a multi-hour trip round trip, those are hours that I could be doing other things that I can't do in the car. And so like that's where my time level is at right now. And I don't foresee that changing. And I do think it will lighten up as I have a few things that I had committed to previously. Like I have to record a webinar over the next few days. And I'd already again committed to that. And, so I have to honor that commitment, get it done. But once that's done, I'm not really going to be taking in a lot of those opportunities. I do have 2 other things towards the end of the year. But right now in the future few weeks, I have a webinar to record, and then adjusting a presentation that I'll be giving in a few weeks and traveling for that. And then at the end of the year, I do have another webinar recording to do, as well as contributing to some article, like journal article. So outside of that, it's on video. I'm gonna say no as I say yes. But no, I am getting much better about my boundaries because honestly, like work and school have to get done. They have to be to the degree and level that I want them to be at. And then of course my relationships, with Chris, with my family and my friends are super important to me. So still just navigating all of that, but it's a month in, and hopefully by maybe the next few videos we'll be in a better place. No, I feel like I'm in a good place. It's just a lot. Like, and sometimes it's just like, I often say this with clients because they'll just be like, oh, say they're having like really busy seasons or they're having, a lot going on. I'm like, is this just like a busy time, or can we adjust your schedule a little bit? Because just saying like, hey, why don't you figure out a plan, or why don't you most people are already doing that. Now, sometimes they're not, right? But sometimes it's just like, no, every hour is scheduled. I'm just really busy. It's a busy season. And we all go through those. And, having that, deep purpose and that reason why you're doing it is so important. And that's why even there are some days where I'm just like, really tired or whatever it might be, insert any kind of emotion. But I know that this is ultimately what I want to be doing. So I like kind of get out of that a lot quicker. But with my schedule, we've now been a month in, and it's been pretty good. I do think I might want to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to hopefully have a little bit of time to reflect on that this weekend. I don't know if I will, just given all of the things that are due by the end of this weekend for me. So that's like a TBD. I might switch things around a little bit. So that's why I haven't done any of those videos yet of like, hey, here's kind of how I'm navigating like this kind of a day, right? Or like a morning routine or a night routine, because I'm still trying to figure that out. But I do think that maybe by next time or the next video, I'll probably incorporate something like that, because I know that those types of videos are very useful and very helpful. So we shall see, but I might rework it just a little bit. In particular, so right now I've been doing Mondays and Tuesdays are my heaviest client days. And then I also have classes those nights. And so it might sound crazy to say oh, why don't you to train on those days? Because my time is pretty limited. And on Mondays, it is everything has to be planned out perfectly. And typically on Tuesdays, I've been doing yoga or cardio. And that's just shorter, of course, than a lifting session. And I can do both of those at home, so there's no commute involved at all. But I have found that by the time Wednesday comes around and I have a full free day in terms of no classes, I really want to just be able to just dive into work. So I'm thinking about maybe switching that around. So again, TBD, and we'll probably update you guys next time. But part of this series is not only talking about how the hell am I navigating all of these things, but what are some things that I'm learning? And what's been really cool already is that I did think that what I would learn in the program would, of course, apply to future clients and even current clients that I'm working with now. How can I view these situations? Not to play pretend be therapist, but how can I communicate better? But I've actually found that I'm learning a lot that I can help other coaches with, which is perfect for the mentorship that I have coming up. So if anybody is a coach or a trainer who's listening, whether you've been in the industry for many years or you're just getting started, this is a really great opportunity to learn more about the art and science of coaching, not business mentorships. I have other friends and resources for that if you guys need that. But this is really about how to help clients just really have a better client experience, how to guide them through pre, during, and post diet and everything that's involved with their mindset and all the behavior change. So anyways, just a small little plug there. But I'm really excited actually with what I've been learning and how I'll be able to apply that to the mentorship moving forward, because so much of it now when I'm sitting in class and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is, I can help communicate this to a coach and that will help them with a client scenario. And it actually has been very clear to me, like I know this is something, I'm actually going to add this to my talk that I'm doing in a few weeks. I know a lot of times coaches will be like, oh, I'm a therapist. Anytime I tell people, I've been wanting to do this for a while. So this has been a topic of conversation for quite a bit. And anytime I bring this up, oh, this is, the program I applied to or what I'm thinking about, or, oh, the program that I'm doing, whatever the conversation was, it's always immediately like, oh, well, we already do that. Oh my gosh. Guys, I just noticed the printer cord. Oh, it's like the bane of my existence. I should have unplugged that. Sorry, really ruining the aesthetic of the video. Not gonna lie. Anyways, I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but to me, that looks like trash. But there's no plug inside of the closet, which is also annoying. And I don't want to keep plugging it and unplugging it every time, because part of me feels that it can't be good for the printer, which I don't know if that's true or not. So any techie people, let me know. Oh, this is how I have no. That was not on the sheet to talk about. Anyways, scope of practice. Whoop, bring it back, bring it back. So oftentimes coaches and trainers are like, oh, I already do therapy. And I know people are saying that like tongue in cheek. They're not actually pretending to be therapists. Some people might be, but people that I'm talking about are not. But it has become so clear to me, oh my gosh, how different this is, and just how different we do need to treat the field. And just like in general, like with counseling operating under like an ethics board and all of that, like it is just totally different than the fitness space. So anyways, slight deviation. Doop. Let me bring it back though. Bring it back. What is on the sheet? So a lot of you guys have probably heard about the concept of locus of control. And one of the things that we actually learned in one of my classes was how locus of control is one concept, but there's also this other one called locus of responsibility. And oftentimes they are overlapping. So I wanted to share that because I thought it was really relevant, not only for any coaches or trainers who are listening, but for anyone really like who is just interacting with people, which is, hey, everyone. And this could be like in a work setting, this could be in a friend setting, this could be in a, just like a day-to-day setting, right? Like really understanding how people are viewing situations. So when we think about locus of control, this is the degree of control that individuals perceive they have over their environment. So with an internal locus of control or a high internal locus of control, people believe that the consequences are dependent on their actions, right? So like, hey, I do this, the consequences are up to me, or how they view people and their relationship to that, right? Whereas external locus of control is consequences are a result of chance and they're outside of your control. So think of things like fate, circumstance, and luck, or topics like that. And research has shown that individuals with a high internal locus of control, if they're able to adopt that, they believe, accept, and act in ways that take ownership of their actions and what happens to them. So we could see that it would probably make a lot of sense or be a default setting to want to increase this internal locus of control. There's also a lot of just like great research in terms of internal locus of control with higher self-efficacy and higher goal setting and goal achievement, et cetera, et cetera. But then the topic of locus of responsibility. So this is an operating system that drives individuals' beliefs that they are accountable to the things that happen to them. So an internal locus of responsibility would say that success or failure is the result of an individual's doing. So the result, positive or negative is up to me. And then again, how I'm viewing people, right? Like, oh, that happened to them because of what they chose to do or not do. Whereas an external locus of responsibility, social environment is responsible for what happens to you, and that is the lens that people view that. So there was actually this cool little like chart in one of our presentations. So basically, if you high internal responsibility, high internal control, basically feel like you're in control and responsible for actions. High internal responsibility, but external control, can't control circumstances and blame self. Versus an external responsibility or an internal control, Ability to control environment and success is possible if people are given opportunities. And then an external responsibility and an external control, little control over life and can't really control affairs. So I just thought that was like a nice little like quadrant system to understanding it. And of course the research would point towards, high internal responsibility and high internal control are both useful and helpful for all of the reasons for people to be fully functioning and attain their goals. But both of these, locus of control and locus of responsibility, are formed and shaped through clients and people's just experiences and their family and their culture and their background and their history. So no matter who you are, like I said, whether you are in this space, working with individuals one-on-one, or you're just listening and you work with a team at work where you're trying to understand just different family dynamics or people dynamics, this can really help. And this is one of the things where it's not necessarily any of our responsibilities to change that, right, for someone, because we can't imagine what they're going through, why they have these perspectives, but it can help us understand and filter possibly like their responses. And then if you are working with people in a space where you're starting to realize that maybe this is, you're really butting up against these issues, this could be something where, again, referring to a therapist would be really helpful for them to potentially work through those things. But ultimately, someone has to want to work through those things and want to change those things. And that's something that we're really learning also in the program, and something that I truly do believe as well, right? Like you can say to someone like, I think this would be the best thing to do, but we can't take into account any of these other things, right? Their family, their culture, their upbringing, why they have these perspectives. What happens if they don't do this and do that instead? We have no bearing over that, right? So it's really harmful just to be like, hey, yeah, just go do this. If that doesn't sound like a good idea. So this is where, whether you are a therapist or you are a coach working with someone, you really just want to present them with what is in front of you. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is a trend, pattern, belief, insert whatever, right, that I'm seeing from you. Here's some research or, studies or whatever it might be to show why maybe these responses are happening. What do you want to do with this information? Do you want to make this change? Do you not want to make this change? And I think that it's really important to be able to give individuals that opportunity, because us just saying, hey, this is what you should be doing, is really not ever going to help someone in the long term. And even though it's usually well-meaning, right, it is one of those things that can get really murky really quick. So hopefully this was something useful you guys can kind of put in your little back pocket. Okay, that was really cheesy, but we're gonna leave it in. I stayed on track for the most part. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. I almost said weekly recap of a month into this program. I'm hanging on. I'm a little stretched thin. But we're doing it and I'm feeling really good. And ultimately, like I said, I know that I'm in the right place. So any future videos you guys want to see, drop them below in the comments. And like I mentioned, I'm probably going to rework my schedule a little bit. So once I kind of nail that down, then I'm going to share a little bit more about those routines, particularly morning routine, because my goodness, has a morning routine been more important now than ever.